What's going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. As you can see from the title, finally, some positive news of incomings after Eze has left the club. Yeremy Pino, here we go from Fabrizio Romano. A deal has been agreed for the Villarreal player, 30 million euros plus fixed add-ons for a long-term deal for the winger, who will be replacing Eze, of course. That has been confirmed, as well as more news. As always, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the live comment section or the comment section down below if you're watching on replay. Finally, after doing all of these shows and Glasner crying about transfers and C. Parish saying another thing and debating it, it seems like we are going to be having one come through the doors, only not Fabrizio Romano. A few others have also mentioned it. Apparently, the player will be saying his goodbyes tomorrow at the training ground before flying out to London to complete his medical. Of course, we'll talk about the individual and what he could bring and how happy we are with the fee involved. But we need to do more. We need to do more as well. It's not this should be the start of it up until Monday, where the window actually ends. We'll look into what we think about the price tag, about the players' quality. He's still fairly young as well. But yeah, apparently we put in an offer which the player couldn't refuse in terms of salary package. So in that aspect, it showed that we were serious, which we've been asking for a long time, in terms of, maybe going a bit more over and beyond. And hopefully this is a Glasgow option. If it's a Glasgow option and we went maybe a bit higher in terms of wages than we normally would, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that because this manager 100% deserves it. But as I mentioned, reports over in Spain are suggesting that he'll be flying over tomorrow. And, regardless of if it gets done before Thursday's game, he cannot feature in the Conference League game, which he won't feature anyways, because I'm pretty sure the team will be flying out tomorrow to Norway. So that'll all happen too quickly. But Aston Villa could be a shout. And it's also nice to see. I mean, I'll start off my thoughts before going to the live comment section. It's nice to see a player who's playing in the Champions League come to Palace, want to come to Palace. And I think that's a credit to the manager that we have at the football club and what we've achieved over the last few months. He's still fairly young. I believe he'll be turning 23 in October. He's got, I believe, around 5 appearances for the Spanish national team. I know he suffered a bad injury. Was it last season or the season before that? No, it was the season before last. Which only made him play about 10 games in 23-24 season. I mean, last season he had 9 assists, 4 goals for Villarreal. 7 of those assists came in the La Liga, and all of the goals came in the La Liga, and 2 of them came in the Copa del Rey. So, nearly, over 10 GA, but nearly 10 assists. And when we're looking at this Palace side, especially ever since Eze's left, look at the Fredrikstad game, then you look at the Forest game, the key element that I think that we've been missing is, I know we talk about Devaney, but Devaney is not a creative player. So we've been asking an awful lot. We've been missing creativity. And that was always going to happen. You know what I mean? If you lose Eze, you're always going to miss that creative option, right? We don't have that other alternative in that squad. And that's what we've been crying out for. So the fact that he's got nearly 10 assists over in the Liga is encouraging. He managed to stay fit as well. I think it was his career high assists last year in the Liga. Before that, and 22-23 season, he had 6. So career numbers for a player that's coming back from an injury is positive. It's positive because, as I said, in the 23-24 season, before the season before last, he only played 10 games, 0 goals, 0 assists, because he suffered a bad injury. But he's played in Europa League. He's got European experience. He's played for the Spanish national team side, and he's had a lot of career appearances. For a player that is aged 22, 23, he's played a lot of games, and I'll bring it up on the screen as well. His career started 2021 season, 37 games played then, 21-22 season, 40 games played, 22-23 season, 46 games played, which is a crazy amount of games. And it's only the 23-24 season, which he had 10 appearances, but last year he had 35. I mean, for a player that is still fairly young, he's had over 100 career appearances playing at the very top level and also playing European football. So in that regards, I think this is a positive step. And also the player profile as well. I think it's good, the fact that we are signing a young player because we know that the model is to bring in these younger players, develop them, and then sell them on. 30 million euros is not cheap. It's not cheap. And plus, there will be add-ons as well. So I don't know what the exact deal will amount to. But we are putting a lot of trust in him by paying that much. We saw it with Nketiah. Some people are still not happy with the deal, but I'm not against it, because I feel like if you do want to bring in depth options that you can pretty much rely off the bench, and you might have to pay the 20 to 25 million pounds. So I don't think he's going to be a depth player for us, Pino, but Nketiah in that case was. So for starter, that is still young, that has a lot of potential as well, by the way, because he's been, as I've said, he played a lot of games from a young age, and he's been one of those exciting prospects that hasn't really lived up to his potential so far, which is unfortunate. But as long as we don't include a Ballon d'Or clause, because of course there was that outgoings by France today, which we can discuss as well. I think I'm happy. I'm happy with this deal, and hopefully it's the first of many. But let's see what you lot think as well. Let us know your thoughts in the live comment section. If you haven't already done so, hit the like button, subscribe. It's been fantastic. All your support. The channel's been growing fantastically as well. So really appreciate you all doing that. So let's get off with this. Great age, exactly. It is a great age. First of all, the reports were suggesting, initial reports earlier on today, 50 million. I was thinking it doesn't make any sense for us to spend 50 million euros on a young talent based on what we're trying to do. Sell them on for a higher price. I mean, the risk is higher because of the amount you're spending. Like you're basically, in my head, I was thinking we're basically banking on him being an 80, 90 million euro. Well, I'll put in this context, and not, I mean, euros more value. It will be a bit less in pounds player, but that's not the case. 30 million, I think, is fair. I mean, this is the kind of money that we have to be spending if we do want to push on. But for me, I'll say it again. Now that we saw Eze and we bring him in, which I'm excited about, I'm happy about, it doesn't. To me, it would still make zero sense if we don't bring in another number 10, because the whole point of selling Eze was to get funds, to improve the squad depth overall, so we are a better team overall rather than one quality individual. So we've still got business to do, and I'm hopeful that we'll get it done. But it seems like Bilal Kanu still is completely, well, it seems like it's stopped now in terms of negotiations because Palace can't reach an agreement with Leicester. But we still need one more in the number 10 position. We still need one more. How will he fail his medical then? Hopefully he don't fail his medical. But yeah, it looks to be a good sign, says Tim. I agree as well. France is out. Then we need another cam. As I said, yeah, we definitely need another number 10 to improve the depth, because we lost France. I know it was France. When we lost Eze, I felt like we needed two number 10s. All along. So yeah, he's played down the right hand side, which is interesting, because I don't know how we will be. I mean, I think he'll fit into the left number 10 position. He played against Girona on the weekend, which was down the left hand side, but I'm pretty sure that he can play down the right hand side, because I've seen someone else say that in the game against Girona, he had 2 key passes, 1 assist as well. So maybe after that game, Palace were like, you know what, they won 5-0, he was involved. Let's pay whatever you need. But we're not paying 50 million pounds or 50 million euros. That's not happening. 30 million euros sounds a bit more realistic. So let's hope this is also the start. A new centre back and another attacking midfield. I don't know with the new centre back how we're going to approach it, to be fair. We've been linked with a few. Akanji has been one of those names being mentioned over the past few days. But do we sign another? I think we should sign another centre back, regardless of Guehi even or staying, because I feel like we need it for just in terms of numbers. And we've seen it. Fatigue is going to be an issue. Like we saw it against Forest towards the end of the game against Forest. As good as we were at the start of the game, legs were catching up to us, and Forest can bring on new, fresh players off the bench, and we couldn't. Of course, you're not going to be subbing off your centre back every other game, but 1 or 2 injuries and we're screwed. So I think we need another centre back, but I don't know if we will bring another centre back before selling Guehi, because Riyad will be coming back as well. Could Gallagher be an option at number 10? He could. I mean, let me be honest. I wouldn't want him as an option as a number 10. I'd rather he played a bit deeper because of how he is as a player in terms of crashing into the box. I'd rather someone else as an option at number 10. But Gallagher would be a good option. I guess the positive about Gallagher is that he can be versatile. He can play in number 10 position, or he can maybe play alongside Wharton, depending on what happens with Kamada. Maybe they can rotate. Kamada can play 10. Gallagher can play in his role. But yeah, for me, if we just got Gallagher and left it as that, as with number 10, I would be scared, because I don't think that would be the right type of profile to bring in to replace Eze. But if we now add Gallagher on top of this, then you've got that versatility. Then you've got different player profiles for certain games. I'll take Gallagher, of course, over Devaney, because I think Gallagher is a better player than Devaney. So regardless, that would have been an upgrade. But now it makes a bit more sense saying that. The reports are suggesting that it's going to be hard to get a deal done for Gallagher. So yeah, let's see. Pino will bang. So can we agree Franca was a waste of 25? We'll talk about Franca. We'll talk about him as well. D, will you accept the deadline they bid from either for your furniture or not for sale? Nah, nothing's for sale. This is iconic. All my furniture. Agree, D, we need another centre back. Yes, Akanji is done out here. Was in the same play after his big injury. Gallagher versus Decent made me laugh. I think Connor is a media hype with no legs personally. I mean, only time will tell. I don't think it is a media hype. The reason for that is when Glasner came out after the Forest game and he said, look, he's confident we're going to get deals done and we might actually sign a player that's a different profile to Eze. At that time, I wasn't thinking of Conor Gallagher. But then when the Conor Gallagher news drops a few hours after that, I was thinking, could he be mentioning Conor Gallagher in his comments about, some of the weaknesses that Eze had? Gallagher has, that's his strengths. And that's what he basically said. So Gallagher, for now, it doesn't seem likely, but it's something that I'll keep an eye on because I do think he's a player that could fit into Glasner's system. It's just my preference wouldn't be having him as like the sole number 10. Pino makes more sense for me as like in that number 10 position for creating chances. So yeah, let's see if that actually happens. But yeah, I mean, tomorrow medical's booked. Of course, there's more news that we're going to get through. But positive, finally some good news, because it's been tiring hearing Glasner's comments, Steve Parish talking to the media. Oh, that player's rejected Palace. Oh, Eze's left. Guehi's going to leave. It's just been negative. The whole summer has just been negative after having one of the most successful, well, not one of the most successful period in the entire history of this club, based on winning that major honor. It's just been all negative. So, exciting player. He stayed fit, had a record number of assists. It's good. I'm happy with this, and I can see him fitting into the system. But as always, we'll see tomorrow. Nothing's confirmed as of yet. We've got that here we go from Fabrizio Romano, but we've seen it not only with Palace. Things can go sideways until he's actually holding the kit. And normally I'm not this type of guy. Then I would be, a bit more excited, because right now, as I said, he's still got a medical to complete, but things seem like they are progressing well. So hopefully everything ends up working in that favor. Another player that we've been linked with, Wang. Wang from Wolves. It's not looking good. According to Fabrizio Romano, Wolves are closing the door after 2 approaches from Premier League clubs. This was interesting because I did think it would be a good depth option once again to bulk up the squad, have enough healthy numbers going forward. And we've been linked with him for a few weeks now, and it seemed like a deal that could potentially happen. The initial reports were from the Wolves journals anyways, that we were willing to offer a £1 million plus 12 million buy option for Wang. And it seems like Wolves now, probably because it's so late in the window, they're not willing to sell him. I don't know if that stance changes if we improve the offer, but that's what Fabrizio Romano is saying. And that's the downside of leaving stuff late, because we've seen it firsthand with Guehi last year. I mean, I know they're not similar profiles in terms of how big Guehi is for us compared to Wang for them. But, the later you leave in the window, some teams are in a difficult position where they might not be willing to let them go because they have to replace a player. So it seems like that's the case currently with Wang, which is a bit unfortunate, because I do think he would be an improvement on what we have, especially with Edouard at the football club, and maybe give Nketiah something to think about. And also, he's versatile. He can play up front and he can also play in the number 10 position. So I thought that could have been a smart bit of business, especially if we're getting him for £1 million, £12 million next year. Then we can sign him on a permanent deal. It gives us that flexibility in this window because we don't have to spend as much money, as well as getting another body into the football club. But yeah, it does seem like right now that is difficult. I don't know if that changes. The question, I guess, is when it comes to attackers, because we haven't been linked with that many attackers, is who is it going to be if it's not El Khanous? I know Pino coming through the door is good, but that's one to look out for, because I'm pretty sure there's been names mentioned, but nothing as concrete as maybe Wang or Bilal Khanous. That's been the two main players that we spoke about. To be fair, Pino's come out of nowhere. He's come out in the last few days. So maybe we might go after and might hear about a player that we didn't even have on our radar in terms of what's been spread out to the media. Because even Gallagher's situation, it seems like, the club were trying to keep it under the wraps until it just came out. And now, I don't think it helped the club in negotiation standpoints, but yeah. So we still need another player because we've got outgoings, and we're going to be talking about the forward outgoings, which some of these need to be done, and I'm happy with that because I've been the one vocal about selling players or getting rid of players and struggling with some of these decisions that we've took, especially Edouard and Hamada and some of these other players that shouldn't be at the football club. So yeah, we've done a few outgoings which we're going to discuss. But yeah, Wang. Unfortunate, because I think it would have been a nice bit of business, but it opens the door for someone else. It's not the end of the world. I'm not going to cry over Wang. I mean, he seems like a decent profile, but at Wolves, he hasn't. It's not like he's been amazing at Wolves, and it's like we're getting a player red hot form. No, it would have been a solid depth option, but it would have been a risk in terms of would he work for us? But I thought overall, based on his qualities, Wang would have been decent, but yeah, let's see what actually happens with that. But Vardy, I don't. Vardy doesn't make any sense. If we're going to sign another forward, for me, it has to be like a Wang type of profile where you might have him playing as a striker and also as a number 10. Vardy would just be a striker, so it wouldn't help the depth options in terms of. Even though I don't like it, I like players to get players and play them in their respective positions, and I debate this a lot with Lou. Wang would have made sense in that regards on loan. You get player and you play them in multiple positions, but Vardy's not serious. Vardy is not serious, so yeah, I don't think that's going to be happening. But in terms of outgoings, there's over 230 people watching as well. If you haven't already done so, hit the like button, people. I don't know how many likes we're on right now. I'll have a eye on it whilst I get the next story up, because there's still Jezren Raksaki. Over 100 likes. I really appreciate you all for doing that so far. Let's see if we can get 150 before we wrap up the stream. We've got Matheus Franca, which has been confirmed. We're going to get into that. Raksaki, and also we mentioned Bilal Khanous, but we can speak about him for a bit as well. Let's talk about Jezren Raksaki. Of course, it's been fairly evident that Palace don't want to keep him at the football club. We clearly don't rate him. I think we made that decision by bringing in Romain Esse in January. That decision was made similar to Sam Johnston and Dean Henderson. Dean Henderson coming in meant that Sam Johnston's going to leave, and I think that's a similar case or scenario. And we've been looking to sell him, and according to Graham Bailey, Southampton have had a £10 million bid rejected for Palace winger Raksaki and are likely to return with another offer. I mean, at this point, as I've said, we've been struggling with sales. Eze one was good in terms of what we got for him. But with these players, fringe players that we're trying to get rid of, it hasn't really worked in our favour. £10 million for a Raksaki, which we rejected. I don't know what you lot think. Let me know in the live comment section. Interesting that we rejected it. The club still, despite us not being able to sell some of these players as much, we're still trying to stick strong to how much we value him. And that's the next question. How much is Raksaki worth? I think maybe around £15 million could get the deal done for Southampton. And would they go in for him £50 million? Last summer, they were willing. So that could actually happen. But positive, if this is true, coming from Graham Bailey, that Southampton are going to come in with another offer, getting £50 million for Raksaki, I'm not saying that's not what the story is saying, but I'm assuming if we rejected £10 million, the next would be 15, and surely we're not going to ask for £20 million for Rak-Sakyi. That would be a bit crazy. Sometimes you have to find the middle ground, and I think 15 would be a fair price. That'd be good. That'd be a good bit of business. I mean, we're spending about 30 million euros on Yeremy Pino. So if we got £50 million out of that, remember we've got the Eze money as well. It gives us maybe a bit more of a wiggle room towards the deadline day to bring in more players, especially getting rid of wages as well. Look, Rak-Sakyi, I thought when he first came into the scene under Patrick Vieira, I thought he was ready to be a Premier League squad player, but it just hasn't worked out. When he has played, he's looked decent as well. I don't really. I know there's some people that don't rate him, but I don't really understand it. I don't really understand why he hasn't been given more opportunities. But as I said, I think the opportunity stance points is gone. Ever since we signed SA, I think that decision was made. And the positive is that we'll be getting pure profit when it helps like PSR. Steve Parrish mentioned there about the UEFA having strict rules as well in terms of finances. So in that regards, I guess it'll be positive. If you got like 15 million, clearly 10 million is being rejected, if that is true. And yeah, like that would actually make me happy, because we have to improve as a football club in terms of selling some of these players that are especially struggling. Chelsea, different ball game to us, of course, but I mean they've been fantastic in terms of selling players. Other clubs have struggled, and I think we can sell, of course, the quality players for decent prices, and we stood our ground for Mark Guehi, which I don't mind rejecting the £70 million last year because we won the FA Cup, Community Shield, and that's what that matters. It's not all about the money. So we made the right decision there. But yeah, selling players has been kind of a problem for Palace, apart from Wan-Bissaka and a few other lot, especially Fringe players. So let's see what happens. Let me go through some of the comments. So Rak-Sakyi and put a buyback clause. I think that will 100% be there, or at least a selling clause as well, because he's still a fairly young player. Colin's saying just take £10 million. £15 million is good enough for Rak-Sakyi. 2 years left on his contract. I think 10 to 12 would be fair. How much is Rak-Sakyi worth? I think around 10 to 15 million pounds is a fair price. But if there's any truth to it, it seems like we will be asking more than 10 million pounds. Tim saying we need to sell Jez. The kid needs to play. He deserves a chance somewhere, and he won't get to Palace. Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's not only him. We get to sell Edward as well. Jez, £15 million minimum. So yeah, I think we're pretty much in agreement. Some people are saying £10 million, 10 to 12. Others are saying 15. I haven't seen anyone say 20. So I mean, if £10 million has been rejected, surely Southampton got a wiggle room to pay another extra £5 million, and we might see towards the final days of the window, which we are in right now. We might see Rak-Sakyi sold, which I'm not against at this current moment of time. So that'll be a decent addition. Another player that's been confirmed, a player that has a Ballon d'Or clause in his contract when we did sign him, and that is Matheus Franca, who's actually left Palace to join on loan to Vasco da Gama. I don't know if I pronounced that right, until June 2026. Of course, he's only 21 years old. He's returning back to the Brazilian Serie A to hopefully get some game time, and most importantly, stay fit. This one, some people are saying, why did we go loan out Franca? Like, we need extra numbers in attack, so why would we do that? I'm not against it. I really wanted it to work out for Franca, and maybe if he goes back to Brazil and plays in, week out, and that might be the case. But the reality of the situation is he can't stay fit. One, he can't stay fit. Two, when he's on the pitch, I don't know what type of boots he has. He's just sliding all over the place, but he just can't consistently play. So having Franca in the squad for numbers' sake, it's just pointless to me. I'd rather have players there that could actually come on. And Franca is one of those players I've been looking year on year, and I'm saying, all right, this season could be a season. He can be a good depth option, and finally we see it working for him. But it hasn't worked out so far. He has struggled with injuries. And maybe this move back, and if he was to play consistently and stay fit, maybe that does help his Palace career long term. Some people are writing him off already. I understand it to a certain extent because of what's been happening at his Palace career. But sometimes for a player to hit back into form, he just needs to play consistently, which he hasn't been able to do at Palace. And maybe going back home to Brazil, pardon me, will be able to help that. He only turned 21 in April. He's still a young player. It would be crazy to write him off. And you know, best of luck to him. Hopefully, it does work out. And next year, based on what he does this time around on loan, next year he might be considered as an option. But we haven't got the time for that right now. We haven't got the time to rely on France and also the numbers. It's too much of a risky business. So I think it makes sense where we need maybe a bit more of a player that's ready and has a bit more experience. It'll be interesting to see what we do after Pino, because Pino is an experienced player as well. He's experienced in European football and also first team football, which France, of course, coming to Palace, he did play first team football, but that was like one of the things, and it was kind of a shock. He only had 42 appearances, and we spent a decent amount on him, around 20 to 25 million pounds with add-ons. But a player with 42 appearances, which it's not a lot. It's not a lot. He scored 7 goals at that time at Flamengo, but we took that risk and he hasn't worked out. So him going back and actually building consistent minutes and hopefully playing, it can help us in the long term. But right now, for me, with France, I have to see it to believe it. And he has to prove himself. So hopefully he does prove himself out on loan. And then if he does, then yeah, he was very highly rated. He was one of the highest, highly rated talent in Flamengo. And they've had players like Vinicius Jr. that's gone to Real Madrid from there. So yeah, I think there is a play in him, but this was the right time to actually move on from him as well, because let's just be real. I mean, we're asking an awful lot from a player that can barely stay fit, and as a result of that, he's left the club, and hopefully in the long term he can still work out for us. How injured was he? I mean, just to put into context, I believe, how many appearances has France actually had for Palace? He had around 43, I said, right, for Flamengo. Since he joined us 2 years ago, he's only had 14 appearances. So he's had too many injuries. He just hasn't worked out for him. Something had to change, and he's going out on loan. It's not a permanent deal. But right now, it's not really looking good, because people make the debate. We're spending high on some of these players that are unproven, but these are the risks that the club needs to take. It's a gamble. You can't hit every transfer target and say, yeah, that's going to be a 10 out of 10. I wish every player was like Eze, Elise, Guehi, Walton, and all of these other players, but you will have that 1 or 2 misses. And I think at the time when we did buy Franca, Dougie earned that respect so much that he could take that risk, and he did take the risk, but it just hasn't worked out one way or another. But I don't think it's the end of the story for now, anyways, unless the club sees it differently for Matheus Franca. And maybe we find out in the transfer market, because I thought, as I said, with the Rak-Saki situation, SA coming in, I think we ended that whole debate right there. With Rak-Saki's future at the club, I thought, yeah, that was it, and it seems like it is it. So unless we go sign another maybe experienced a young number 10, that might indicate that we might be giving up on France, or do we go get an experienced player on loan? I think Wang would have made sense in that regards, because he's here for a year and then it will only cost £12 million and his experience. But let's see what we do. Let's see what we do in the transfer market. It really is such a shame France hasn't worked so far. Yeah, it's true. I hope we really took out comp insurance with Franca. Franca should have been our Neymar. I'm heartbroken. Everyone was excited, but it's not the end of the story. It's not the end of the story, to be fair. And also, if you have any questions, put a Q in the dot before it. I'm going to save them. I'm going to try to answer as many as I can before the show ends, which that's all the news anyways for today. Good for his fitness. I agree as well. Ozil went on loan to Derby, but got injured. He's gone back. I think it would be good for us one day. Still very young. Yeah, it's not over yet for France, in my opinion. But let's see. Vasco was coach for France at youth level. See, that might be good for him. I didn't know that. So yeah, that might be good for him. All right, cool. Before we do wrap up, let's see how many likes we're on. Last time I checked, it was over 100 likes. We've hit 137. So thank you to every single one of you that's done that. Subscribe if you haven't already done so as well. Tomorrow, the preview for Fredrikstad second leg will be dropping, so that's going to be interesting. We spoke about potential squad rotation and a few other stuff. It was a good show, so that'll be coming out tomorrow. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Jason saying he missed out quite a few. Edouard, Franca, Nketiah, Amada, Riyad Doucouré as well. All can't stay healthy, but the amount of players that he's actually got right, I mean, we're benefiting from it today. I mean, Eze, Elise, Walton, even the Anderson, Guehi, Munoz. Like he's had way more hits than misses. As I said, no football club is perfect. You're going to miss on players. So yeah, let's see. But let's talk about it. How many more players do we need? And then after that, we'll wrap up. Decore is a proven baller though, unlike the others. Yeah, Decore is, but Decore is another player which I'm now looking at it a bit like sideways because he's a quality player. He's a quality player when fit, but that's the problem with Decore. He hasn't been fit for a while. So I think we need to take our time. But if Decore comes back into this Palace midfield and reaches the levels he was at before, I would love to see him and Walton. I mean, last season, that's what I was looking at. I was like, yes, Decore, if he comes back from injury, we have Decore and Walton in midfield. Both of them are very press resistant. They should be able to create chances, but Decore just hasn't been able to stay fit. So I think with Decore, there is that question mark. I mean, can he stay fit after his injury? Because unfortunately, he struggled so far, which is annoying because remember, Decore is linked to Liverpool for around 60, 70 million pounds. So, you know, he was playing very good for us and he is a very good player. So let's see. Now, let's talk about numbers. People sending in all of the potential incoming numbers. So John's saying 4, Sean's saying 5. We got David saying centre back, centre mid, attacker. I don't know if that's going to be 3. 3 more spiritual as well. 2 10s, 2 centre backs and a fullback. I don't think that's going to happen. 5 players, but fair enough. We've got 5 as well. Realistically, I think we need another centre back. Goalkeeper department, we're sorted. It would be nice to have Riyadh is coming back from injury, right? So it'd be nice to drop that pressure off of him. But Riyadh is also going to be another highly talented player if he stays fit. So that's going to be exciting to see what he does potentially if he does finally return to 100% fitness this coming season. And he should be back fairly soon, based on reports. He should be back maybe, when I say fairly soon, maybe like in a month or 2 months. So that's positive. But the problem is 1 or 2 injuries. We're very low there. I say this every single time. Lerma, he can play centre back, but the fact that Glasner, our manager, said it himself that Lerma's playing centre back and he's a midfielder, he said it in a way which was like, yeah, he can play centre back, but he's not centre back. He'd rather have a centre back, and that makes sense. That makes total sense, and I agree with him there. So I'd rather, 1 more centre back. I think with the midfield department, we're fine there in regards of numbers. Of course, 1 or 2 injuries, we might end up being thin, but I think we've got a different variety there. I don't think we need another midfielder in this window. I'd rather sign another number 10 this after Pino. So basically, if we include a Pino signing, with him, we need the centre-back, him, another number 10, and potentially another, if we can have a hybrid player, that would be nice, which Wang would have been that in terms of striker and number 10. But I don't know. I don't know who there is out there. Maybe some opportunities come towards deadline day of some players maybe being out of favor. But minimum with including Pino, minimum 3 players. I think minimum 3 players. Otherwise, it's a bit of a disappointment letting go of Ebbs when we didn't have to let him go. And if we do bring in the 3 players, as well as having Nketiah return from injury, Kamada return from injury, France is not returning, Decore as well, I think we should be fine. Look, Decore, the reason for not needing another midfielder for now is it would be nice if Decore can stay fit, because I think if Decore comes back and stays fit, the midfield department is pretty much sorted. So yeah, I don't want Guehi to leave. Your thoughts? Guehi, he can't leave. We made a decision with Eze. Guehi can't leave. If we really did want to sell Guehi, which I think Sky Sports reported it today, that no further offers for Guehi have been made. And let's be real, these clubs, they do speak to the players, right? It's not like they're putting a bid and then after speak to the players. Yeah, some clubs do that, but there's always conversation behind the scenes that these football clubs have with players and before putting in a bid. I won't be surprised if no other football club is putting a bid for Guehi, especially Liverpool, is down to Guehi himself. Because I think based on Steve Parish, he keeps saying like, oh yeah, we're open to selling him. But I genuinely don't know if Guehi wants to leave. Like, that's been the stance all along, right? He's open to staying at Palace for another year, leaving as a free agent next year, because World Cup year, he's going to be playing at Palace, captain in Palace, playing European football, week in, week out, he'll be playing. I don't know if he gets those assurances if he also joined Liverpool, let's say. So I think with the Guehi situation, we can't sell him. We shouldn't sell him because Glasner's not happy with the numbers anyways, and we can't sell him before Thursday. And I think Eze alone should be it. Now, what do we do with Guehi? Do we lose him on a free? See, Parish, of course, wants to get money. Me as a fan, I think keeping Guehi at a football club, that gives us another opportunity to win another trophy, and that's a Conference League. I think he's a class player, and having a player like that in the squad, we can win the Conference League. Now, how much is the Conference League worth? To me as a fan, it's worth everything to win a trophy. I don't really care about the finances. If I was getting, I don't know, £10 million out of a Guehi deal, then I might have a different stance. But I don't get any of the money. That's what the club gets. And I don't think C Parish would want to lose him on a free. But if it's not in the next few days, which it can't be because it's so late in the window, then it'll have to be January. And even if we were to lose him on a free, I don't think it's the worst thing because we've still got other assets that we're going to eventually end up selling. So we've still got other bankers there. Adam Walton's one of them. If we ever need the money, Adam Walton's there. As, you go for crazy amounts of money. So I'm happy with keeping Guehi at the football club. And maybe if we show ambition in the last few days of the window, Glasgow's a bit more happy. Maybe we can say something to Guehi. Sign another year, triple your wages or double your wages. And then next summer we will sell you. We just want a fee from you. Now, that's not going to play in Guehi's advantage. The only advantage that Guehi gets from that is that in the short term, he gets more money weekly. But in the long term, I mean, other clubs may be willing to give him a little less money in terms of wages because they will have to pay transfer fee, which they won't do if he's a free agent. So yeah, I mean, it'll be amazing if we sign him on a new deal. But if we don't, I still feel like it's a bit too late in the window to sell him. And I wouldn't want Parish to make Glasgow even more upset, especially with how this window has gone. Kieran saying the same thing as well. Jason saying Guehi has to leave, saying opposite, even £30 million is needed since we need cash advance to make signings. Yeah, it's just the problem is like replacement and also Guehi wanting to leave as well. Mark will go when he wants to. I agree. If Mark wanted to go, I don't think Palace will stop in the sale. And based on that, I think that's the reason why Mark is still at the football club. I'd rather keep him and win conference than lose him and win nothing. That's the thing. There's no guarantee to win the Conference League. But of course, just like Eze, if we keep Guehi in the squad, then we've got a decent amount of chance to win it. He's a quality player, which will be amazing for us. And, if we did win the Conference League, which is a big if, I'm not going to get carried away, we'll get money from winning the Conference League. And on top of that, you'll be qualified for the Europa League as well. So not directly, but even if Guehi will see you on a free, if he played a key part in winning the Conference League and getting us into the Europa League, you get a Conference League prize money and you get Europa League money the next season. So we will still get a bit of money back. And there is a difference between the Europa League and Conference League in terms of money. So yeah, like there are still pluses to it on top of a trophy. Like there are financial rewards as well. And this might dilute the take, but he's going to someone like Real Madrid on a free after World Cup. Their centre backs on a roster agent. I don't think it's wild. I think he's a quality player. But I think Real Madrid are after Saliba, so I don't know if that'll be happening. Do you throw Pino into the starting lineup or do you bring him slowly? I think you throw him in. If you're paying that much for a player, if he's got experience, and if we're lacking creativity, there's no point of bringing him in slowly. I don't really understand the necessary what logic there will be behind that. Maybe, yeah, he needs to adjust to the Premier League, but the best way of adjusting is actually going out there and playing. So, yeah, I'd throw him in. And let him play because he's meant to be a very good player. Got a Bilbao fan on my channel said he rates Pino. Yeah, some of them don't rate him as well because of his injury, after his injury. But yeah, as I said, he had career assists last year. So yeah, Jason saying we don't have the squad depth to win Conference League. We can't stay healthy playing Premier League only. How can he still healthy with 20 more games? And that's the whole purpose, Jason. That's what we're saying. You sell Eze, you bring in 2-3 players, improve the squad depth on top of players coming back from injury, then the depth is going to look better, of course. And that's the main purpose of selling Eze, to improve the squad overall. Otherwise, you just take his stance back, and there's no point of sitting there. So yeah, let's see what happens with that. Look, people, I'm going to wrap it up now. If you have enjoyed it, drop a like, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below after the video ends. As I said, preview dropping tomorrow. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Keep safe, people, and until next time, up the Palace.